Hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome in, Shug. Apparently, you need to watch the stream to save your streak. Well, thank you for saving that streak. I do appreciate it. There we go. My streak is saved. Huzzah! Wondrous. Wonderful to hear, my friend. Wonderful to hear. So. Okay, beeps are booping, boops are beeping. Making wonderful. Greetings. Nice, Mr. Hanuman. Why, thank you. My friend of Shug. I hope you're surviving there in the heat. Santi is surviving in the equal and opposite cold, and I'm stuck in the middle with an awkward around 0 Celsius. Mild, a little bit minus, but unknowingly enough, every now and then get close enough to 0, so things melt a little bit and then they freeze over. So everything is to have this like crust of ice. It's very unpleasant. It's very slippery. But we have arrived. So wait, where's the button? There it is. Yay! So let's look at what are our goals for today. Starting a little early, I say okay. I'm in plus 40 and Vincente is minus 30. Horrifying. Oh, yesterday he was in minus 40, wasn't he? It was so cold the internet froze right in the cables. Dreadful times. Let's open up another layer. So what did we do yesterday? What do we need to look at today? Right. Goals for today. Yeah, yesterday was minus 40. I think, yeah, he said today was around minus 35, 30. So it's, a little bit warmer. But yeah, minus 40 is one of those crazy ones. And imagine this. The winter war that Finland fought with Russia. That had minus temperatures in like minus 42 and so on. And people were like out there being snipers, hiding in trees, not moving. And snow in their mouths to make sure that their breath didn't fog up. Man, crazy times. All right. So, what are our goals for today? Yesterday, we got buttons that changed things. That's a victory. Because those changed things made slightly more convoluted math happen. Only slightly, because the end result needs to become even more convoluted. But now we have a way of having a user interface allowing us to change values while the game runs, rather than always having to, end the game, manually change stuff in the code, launch the game again. Excellent for testing and also core mechanic of the game. You're gonna need buttons that do stuff. So we kind of have that. The problem was the math output was wrong. Terribly, terribly wrong. So, goal for today. Number 1 is... why are the numbers wrong? Second one is how to do cooldown. Because we have the waste information, we figured that one out. Now we just need to have someone to implement it, just to make it become a number. I do not know this Krita program. Yeah, I was recommended this by God, what's her name? I think she's like a Dutch animator streams, does some really good animation. You might have actually seen some of the projects he's worked on. Gosh, I can't remember. Yeah, but it is a free program, and I was using pretty much GIMP for everything. So it's nice to have a good program that's more designed for writing rather than general photo editing or like that level of editing. It's a free program, and it is for animation, because you might see here behind me, there, we can see these are these are the frames. I use this program to make my animated mustache. Right now, this entire part that's behind me is completely useless because we're not animating anything. But yeah, and it has a lot of like handmade brushes and so on. Yeah, the timeline is behind me. That's what I was like trying to show. Like here, you see the timeline. Here we see the frames, the various things in here. Here's a timeline. Now I did my mustache really stupidly because I pretty much made like multiple layers in here for the mustache frames. But there's an actual like mode where you can have the same picture have different states in the different bits in the timeline here, and then they like overlay into each other for like possible green, red penning, that kind of stuff. Some rice paper, onion skin mode. There it is. So yeah, it is very good. It is very good for animating and in general drawing things. And it is, yeah, it's very nice. This feels much more like a drawing program compared to GIMP, because GIMP is then more for photo editing. And I think I have it. If I don't have it installed, then I probably will at some point. Then for vector programs, vector mathematical art, I've used Inkscape, which also a free one. Because I prefer free software because the large software companies, the management does weird shit, and I'm like, I remember Photoshop being expensive. Then it became like a thing you paid for every month. It's like it's just. The only reason to get those things is if I was a professional and I had a company, and it's just because everyone else is using those things and we have to maintain some sort of industry standard because everyone is expecting these, then it would make sense as an investment to make sure we can then work in the industry easily with everyone else. But for personal use, fuck no. Jesus. Free and or inexpensive software, yay, absolutely. Because it doesn't have to be expensive. That is a wonderful part of software. It doesn't have a shelf life. It will not rot on the shelves. You can make it, and there's no manufacturing cost after you made the product. You don't have to, pay the same amount of money to make the next copy. No, you can sell the same one for free millions of times because it's a digital copy. So that is why digital software is a wonderful product to sell. Why you can easily sell it for just very small amounts of money, because you can in theory sell it an infinite amount of times. Alright. So these are the main questions for today. And then we'll have type in menu to the actual game. There we go. Those are our goals for today. And in a couple of hours, we'll see if we got that one done. How to do cooldown. Well, because I don't know. If I knew what I need to do this, then I could list like, okay, do this, this, and that, like I did in the previous goals. Now I have questions. They need answers, and the problems need solutions. So that is where we're headed. So let me know if the music is too loud. I'm not entirely certain. I might have put that too loud. We'll save that. Then we'll jump into here. There we go. Right, so crafting menu is a node. We have all kinds of nonsense in here. This entire thing will always have to be rebuilt. But the point is, we can make one version that we can work, then we can import that into the proper final version. Because right now, you need to make something ugly that kind of works. And that's what we have. I press F6, we should be able to load in. Everything should work. The default runes, because they're not there, but the numbers are put in the earth, and then it already works. And those should, but let's change the power. So we're changing the power between 100 and 150, and earth here. Here, it always goes to 1. Yeah, speed and size are the same because we're not changing those with anything. I do believe those come from the bolt itself. Why is air 1? It should be a different number. So let's Oh. Let's look at what is the last one to touch that number. It would be the bolt. To be our projection rune. Specifically this one. So let's see, we do activate rune there. We need a new elemental power, new. Dictionary. Attack dictionary, power dictionary, waste dictionary. They copied in from the raw power there. Yeah. Total is the float main element string, spell state raw power check main element. For element in power dictionary, if element does not equal main element, total plus equals power element. Yeah, total is divided by power dictionary size minus 1. Attack dictionary main element as a value of power dictionary main element minus total. So we put a breakpoint there. And jump back into that menu. Now we're here. So now we can check out what the kind of values we have here. See, the total is 0.75. Set element dictionary attack underscore dict. Now it says Earth 1. Minus 0.75. Wait. So maybe things are working correctly. I see. 1.75. And that is post filtration. So let me stop that one. Then the problems might be here. Let's look at our things here. We remove that one. And that one. Let's save. We look into here. Total power here is 100. Input power, new elemental, 150. Save. Save our changes. Then we have 16 here. So I was thinking, yeah, okay, we had the same problem with like the filter and stuff previously. Email and access property key, none in the base object type dictionary. Main element in here in projection has become none. Look at remotes, crafting, like a player manager. Rune container. Right. Interesting. So what do we do when we don't have any input? This is a good question, actually. This is not a mistake in the structure, but a mistake in me not dealing with a situation that will happen, which is what if we don't have a power source? We do if main LM does not equal, let's stop the simulation, does not equal none, we do this. Else well, that means they're all equal. There's no main elements. They're all 0, they're all 10, they're all something. Somehow this has got an absolute equal thing. So we need to... What happens if the bolt rune doesn't get anything? Well, the entire thing goes into the waste, right? There we go. New attack set, element main dict, waste, add power dict, waste dict. It's true. These need to go in here as well. You see, else we do waste dict takes the value power dict. Oh wait, no. And then we don't do any changes because it is already, see, the power dict and waste dict are the same one because we want to do, edits on one and see how then we get the difference. So if we make no changes, then the entire thing is added to the waste dict dictionary, and in fact, raw power should become an empty one. So now for this one, I feel like rather than, creating new things, deleting old things, we do in fact make here an else, and we leave it to have an error state so we can in between jump into elemental power and add a new function here, which makes sense for me, which is to have a function for empty contents. Gives out nothing. And we do just for lm in underscore elemental power underscore elemental power within brackets lm, so the element, is assigned the value 0.0. So there we go. So now we can change the composition, the names, the size of this list. It'll be fine. This thing will still always fill it with zeros. In fact, yeah. Man, my naming, at some point, the project grows to the point where I really need to have a serious sit down and start pondering, like, what is my naming scheme for these things? But for now, this works. Then we look at the projection, and now we can look at spell state raw power. There we go. And we have this one here, because we can now make changes to this one, because these were copies from the original. Now, for the original, we want to just completely empty. So, what did I actually call it? Oh no, my brain. Empty contents, there we go. So now it just empties those contents. So now the raw power gets emptied because it is, and then the copy that we already have here is unedited and as in its entirety gets added to the waste. So now having a empty, see, it works, nothing is breaking. We add a power source now. And nothing happened. Next one, nothing happens. So, I'm pretty sure the problem remains with our power. So, activate rune spell state dictionary hold spell state raw power dot add power input power. Our input power would be this one. Let's say if, oh, there we go. Because, yeah, I'm assigning it here. Yeah, because we're exporting, so we're assigning this value in the editor, but here I'm also changing it in the code. So the code comes afterwards, which means that one was, oh, we can't do that. Silly me. Float remains, we just do that one where we assign it a value. We save, then we try one more time, and now it should work, because now we're not assigning a value in two places, but only one, so they're not overriding each other. And that one was overriding whatever we did in the editor, so this one should do nothing, because the default rune should be just empty. Boop. Nothing changed. Very well. Then we look at the remote so we can see what's active right now. Double click on the player manager here. There we go. Check out the runic circle. The array numbers. Power 100 total. Type elemental power. No input power here. Empty. And total power 0. Rune base, rune name, default rune resource. Okay. So now you have those two. And these. Alright. Press F8. We look at the power source 100. Okay, let's have a look at the filtration things. We had a similar thing, I believe, yesterday where these were affecting shit. Ah, we're doing shit in the init here, and that thing's fucking it up, innit? Init. So we move it here to activate rune instead, where we calculate our input power into the total power. And And we give that shit as a into the spell state. So we save the shave again. We press F6. Did that fix it? It did. And the numbers are changing. Oh, beautiful. Now 150 going down to 15. I mean, the math must be mathing. Out of curiosity, though, let's have a look-see here to the player map. Player manager, who needs no final attack, damage. It is exactly 15. Wild. All right. Change this to 103. Save. Now this one more time. Well, that can't be 10. Runic circle, final attack. So you have an exact 10 there. How the fuck do you have an exact 10? So let's walk through here. Power source here at 100. Then goes to rune filtration, which at the efficiency we have provided, 0.7.3. Then being floats, that goes like that is, yeah, the closest the machine can get to a specific number. And as such, $100 times 0.7 okay, 70 minus 30. So you should have a number 40, but you have 10. Wait a minute. No. So this one's a 70, these guys are 30. And one breakpoint there. Then projection. Here. F6. Yeah, right now. 1, 2. Here we go. Filter dict, yeah, 0.3 and 0.7. Power dict. Right, 100 divided by. So we have 25 times 0.7. Okay. Yes, it is 17.5. 25 times 0.3. Alright, math is correct. I'm just dumb. Well, not dumb, just confused. Mild confusion about what have I done? What kind of orders have I created? Good morning there, Kim Stockholm. Nice to see you around. Hope you're doing well. Almost done with my lemon juice. What all herbal remedies. Finally making space for the proper morning drink. More coffee. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Oh yeah. So that problem has been solved. So now we can officially look at our krita. Why are the damage numbers wrong? I'll just... Fixed. There we go. How to do cooldown is the next question. Wonderful. And we'll add a little maybe in between here. Just got off work, so everything's great at the moment. Ooh, great to hear it. Free time is always lovely to have, yes? Oh, there we go. What part of we're working on? Continuing on yesterday, because we got the buttons to work, right? We're just dealing with the menu here. So here we see the outputs. Currently, the bolt is like pre-put in because we only have one projection thing, so I just slapped it in there. In between here, I got it to have an error when I applied a filter, but we have no power rune. So that was a good thing to sort of catch early. So now it reacts to like, well, if you've got no power, that's fine. You should just give out zeros. It'll be okay. Especially once we start calculating cooldown, because this should then, in theory, give a bigger cooldown. Or in fact, especially if we do the other way around. Oh, I gotta test that one. Because then if we had a power rune, damn, we're seeing now there's numbers. And I was wondering how the fuck does 100 and these turn to these numbers, and then I realized, okay, because this one gets divided by 4. Then it goes to the filtration numbers, and I use an actual calculator and to double check. And like, yes, I accidentally made a divide by 10 with multiple steps. So that's why I'm wondering, like, if I should change the power system we have here. But for now, it works. We'll look into it later. So the next thing I was thinking about, then we have to do the cooldown logic here. Oh, I just mentioned that because I don't have a way of removing things currently. What if you add power but no filter? Ooh, crash, wonderful. Perfect. Invalid access to proper hierarchy of type string on base of object type dictionary. Alright. Wonderful. That's function check circle, change power. Activate rune. In a filtration rune with no filtration logic, because it wasn't actually empty, it had the default rune inside. And what the default rune should still do is fuck all, but not have an error. I feel like I'm actually making progress. We're actually debugging shit. It actually kind of works. It's not much of a game, but I'm really excited. We're getting there. We're hecking getting there. We can push buttons and the numbers change. It's magic. Okay, so for the element in filter dictionary, the problem here is. Oh, and I discovered this yesterday because I've been like looking through these and then trying to like click at these and find all the different values, and then by accident I moused over something here, and apparently the coding environment for inbuilt for Godot is just magic. So when you debug, you just mouse over it. I wonder what this dictionary is. I see it. What its current values are in this snapshot of the code. Freaking amazing. See, we got the waste dict because we're getting actual raw power. The filter dict for the filtration is all zeros, but because for some reason our default creates that empty string that you see there at the end. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, there's an empty string. It adds adds a new New string for some reason. See, is the elemental power new? Does this one create it? Why does it create that extra string? We had the same problem yesterday. It's always great when things work. I know it. It's so amazing. It is one of the things that I really make me fall in love with developing was, and you working with code is just, in hindsight, I realize it's tickling that ADHD brain. They have those brain components because instant feedback. Oh my God, it feels good. I hated doing stuff in school and so on. When you write, here's the problem, here's my answer, I give it in, and then eventually at some point I'll find out what the answer was, and by the time I get the answer, I no longer care. Here, I do a thing, instant feedback, I'm like, oh yeah. And then I build things and build convoluted things because I like building convoluted things, and then they work and it just feels nice, man. That's why I want more like factory games where there's more designing and building your own actual machines. Like I love Factorio, Satisfactory, all of those Dyson Sphere program where you build, resources go from point A to point B, stuff happens and they go to point B. But essentially you're just shuttling things around. You're not building the machine that does the thing. Which is sort of what inspired me to do this one. I mean, yes, we're here as well, we're shuttling things around, but I want more of that visceral vibe of I built a machine and I will see the effects of the machine in the game world, which is why we have the platform of combat. And it's not like, here's a variety of spells, you can make these different kind of ammunition, essentially, do different things. Like, no, design your own machine. You can make a shit one, you can make an amazing one, you can absolutely kill yourself. That is the plan here. Or you can make something that just really works well, or something that is just adequate. You can try to make something that does everything, or you can have multiples that are like, especially made for various things. So that we need to have a save load system for your spell circles. If this ever goes on Steam, then on the workshop, similar to Stationeers, where you can like share your code, share your spell circles, because I would like, that is the dream. I won't be getting anywhere near that point during this year. I now know enough about these projects. They take a while. But getting even the most basic system working will at least be a proof of concept, and that will make me happy. Who knows? Maybe it'll get popular, and then like some bigger studio to buy it off me, and I'd sell out in an instant. I need money, and then I just make another one. Here, you can have it. Yeah, you can have this IP. I'll just build something different. Because I want to make, because if this proof of concept works, there's these like mods concepts that I can't really make work in my head yet. But if this works, then maybe I can work on those, because I want to make a mod for Dwarf Fortress, for example. I was thinking, hey, it'd be cool, what if we had like magic in Dwarf Fortress? I know they're actually working on proper magic, but I was thinking, well, architectural magic would make sense. And I don't know how the world is simulated, but if it works, we can like, if we can detect different distances between blocks and so on, we could then have like, okay, you can have engravers engrave runes on the ground, for example, and then you have to like design your runic circles. And I was thinking, what would they do? And one would be just, I don't know, make things warm, and then you can essentially have, instead of a magma furnace, then you can have a magic furnace. And it could be, well, you still need to fuel them with something, and then, I don't know, we could have blood offerings or something, make it all dark, gray gems or something. Need money. Daddy needs a new sauna. That's very true. Well, Daddy needs to just pay the electricity bill so he can sauna more. Because I have a sauna. A new sauna would require an entirely new building. This, we are kind of renting this one. One of those weird Finnish states where I don't know if other places have this thing where I bought the right to live here, but I still kind of pay rent. But the thing is, I have more rights than a renter, but not as many as an actual homeowner. And in my opinion, it's the perfect combination, because then there's an external party who we pay rent to, and they're responsible to making sure, maintenance people arrive, the yard is taken care of, plumbing, and all of that. But then I'm more responsible for what happens inside this building. But I'm also allowed to like paint a wall that I've done and so on, and do some minor fixes. And the thing is, when I move out, I bought in a sort of like down payment of, what was it, between 20 and 30,000 euros. Well, we get that money back because someone essentially buys that right of us as well. wonderful sort of in-between system. You get like the best of both worlds. It's always funny when people are so excited. Oh man, I want to own my own home, my own home, and own my own building. It'll be so amazing. I'm like, as a kid who grew up in the country, no, it isn't. No, I love renting. I love having someone else deal with waste management, deal with drainage and all the maintenance. Amazing. In Danish called like an andel, like a part owner. Oh yeah, similar system. Yeah, it finishes asumisoikeus, so living right, essentially. Because so partial ownership is essentially what it is. We shorten it to ASO, which is asumisoikeus, the right to live in a place, which I bought. I have the right to live here. You can't evict me, which they can't, which is wonderful. And also, just saying, when you have money tied into where you live, you take care of where you live and the general surrounding areas, so the neighborhood remains nice. The problem with renting, especially with the madness that has happened in the renting industry in the past, I want to say 10, 15 years, a new company arrived on the scene and they just broke everything, and now some renting areas turn into these like ghetto-like places very easily, and it's just tragic. Because there's so many people who live there and they just don't care about their environment. They're so used to possibly getting evicted, having to move around. They're like, I'll stay here as long as I can. Why should I care? And that's the good thing of having down payments, having your money tied into the space, because suddenly now you care. The same. Random shit. Random rants again. I'm a house owner. I'm trying to find an old farm place with a bit of land/wood so I can have my own little doomsday heaven. Kim Stockholm, yeah, I do get that. As I grow older, I also start yearning back to the wilds. Aww. Neighbors are moving, and their dog has realized something's happening, and she's very stressed. Poor thing's probably home alone currently, just stressing out, having a bit of a cry. But yeah, I would love. Essentially, my ideal situation would be this sort of part ownership, so I can delegate to someone else who can worry about the maintenance, because I don't have to worry about everything. If I can throw money at a problem like that, it's amazing. Combined with a large enough yard to have a bit of a garden and a few chickens. My dream is to have a few chickens, because I like eggs. Eggs are good. Eggs are tasty. Fresh eggs are best. Store-bought eggs are nice, but man, having your own fresh eggs, wonderful. And then you can eat the chickens too. I want a few chickens. Small yard or growing plants. Ideally, also an external building like a shed or something I can turn into a smithy workshop area, because I like doing things with my hands and I would love to be able to smith again. And as my own moving in present, I'll build a wood-fired sauna and hot tub. Ooh, yes. I think we call that a palju, where you have it's a wood-fired hot tub essentially. I want chickens too. Yeah, because they're so easy to maintain essentially, because you just have, your chicken coop and enough yard to make sure there's enough insects that live there, because, they're meat eaters. They're carnivores. They're omnivorous enough, but they're birds, carnivores, so they'll eat, each other, insects, all kinds of stuff. So chickens would be nice. Wood-fired sauna is amazing. I do agree with that. My parents recently built a new one, and it is just... I have an electric one in the flat here. It is nice, but man, the wood-fired one has just... It's the sounds, the smells, the way it heats up. It is... And the air is different compared to... The electric one is very dry somehow. I guess it is because it is the coils heating, and they have similarly dry out the air, so the feel is different. I want meat rabbits too. Yes. That would make sense. Now, if I had a farm like that, I would also then take the time to learn to butcher these properly. Like I can cut up like some carcass, but I don't actually know how to butcher. You know, I've handled some dead animals in meat, but you know, not that much. I've mostly been in an assistant role. Oh, but yeah, that'd be amazing. That's the dream, isn't it? Yes. Well, and also, if I won like millions in the lottery, I would buy a farm place. I would also then have a workshop and a studio. Because I like streaming. I have fallen in love with streaming so much, and the way it makes me work, because having a sort of audience affects how I act and affects how I, well, turn up emotionally and mentally as well. Well, hello there, Caffeinator. It's going pretty well. Getting distracted with dreams of house ownership and, you know, the nicer and worst parts of it, and also dealing with our runic issues. We had some problem here, which was the fact that what if the default filtration rune code currently breaks if stuff happens here. Oh yeah, I was wondering like why exactly does this thing add an extra empty string there? And rabbits are the cheapest fodder to meat ratio and super easy to maintain. Yes, and they're cute. And if you have kids, I'm just saying. I grew up on a farm. I have known my food by name. And I think that gave me a better sort of appreciation for the whole life cycle of animals and so on. And, you know, empathy for good care and so on. And especially small children are vicious animals in the sense that they're like they can seem almost psychopathic to an adult because they haven't yet to be like they're truer humans. They haven't been taught the whatever the current morality of the age is. That comes later on. And a child will then accept the world as it is. So it's much easier for a child to then be, you know, deal with, you know, life, death, birth. You know, I was there for the birth of many animals. I've been there for I wasn't there for the death, no. But, you know, as I grew up then I started helping like plucking some chickens, but I never, I saw some chicken beheadings. But they were then normalized. So life, death, reproduction were just things in the world. And I always found it with them weird when I came into my teenage years and some people faced their mortality for the first time or giggled so much at reproductive science in school. And I was like, but that's just how it works, mate. I mean, what do you mean you haven't ever thought about this? Random thoughts. I like my own company town. Go to sleep one night and stayed up and made a spreadsheet on it. Yeah, that is very true. Okay, again, if we had the imaginary millions of monies, that would also be pretty ideal. Because, you know, friends, family, everyone moves away somewhere. I would like to have, you know, especially if parents grow older, it'd be nice to have a place for them close by where you can help and assist. But I wouldn't want them in my own home. Because then every culture is different. I know like Spanish people have many generations in one home. Finns, we need space. We need space from each other. I want them close enough to help, not so close, but not too close, you know. So a town for family and friends, we can all support each other. We can all work together to maintain everything. But that will only work until it's enough. You know, so true. My daughter was like 6 first time I had her gut a fish. Hey, exactly. Good on you, Game Stockholm. That's the kind of stuff. Because, you know, we're all gonna die. No one lives forever. And a child has a lot of an easier time dealing with that than a teenager. Because a teenager has had a lot of social narratives stuck in their head. And then you add to that tumult like, hey, yo, first face mortality. I'm like, what the shit? Especially because so many like modern culture it's all about avoiding age. Avoiding death. So much nonsense. And, you know, sex being this extremely exploitative thing and this massive, like, oh no, sex and sexuality, rather than, it's just, you know, we're animals. Animals gotta make more animals, yo. That's how it works. I'm like, neat. Ooh, the caffeinator is saying, so the thought that kept me awake. If I had unlimited money, what's the smallest amount I could use to create my own AAA studio that doesn't abuse its workers? In summary, it's 5 million. Ooh. Nice. Wait, I don't think that's enough though. Because for a AAA, the number of A's is an investment term that has to do with the size of the budgets being used, and I don't think 5 million is enough to count as a AAA production. I'm not sure about this. Sorry. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm just having this vague, random thoughts from the back of my head. But yeah, I just like a studio that kind of works. I'd like to be able to live off of it. That's enough. Anything extra off of that would be, a bonus, an ideal. If we could then, have enough money to hire people, have multiple projects running, oh my god, that'd be amazing. But if I can just do this and live, pay my bills, oh my god, I'd be so happy. I don't need much else. I've had a interesting enough life. I've had a lot of itches scratched growing up, so. I find myself in a state of, I come to the age of I appreciate peace and the ability to express myself, find myself, if you will, which I'm now doing through streaming. Thanks to all of you lovely people, and helping me get back into coding. 5 million was for the buildings and pay for 300 employees and power and internet and computers for everyone. I think over half of the 5 million was for advertisement for the game, so we could actually generate profit. But then you're gonna need another. If you want a AAA, then isn't that like 10-20 million for the actual budget for generating the game? Because that'll take you a few years minimum, and depending on what you're doing. And 300 workers, Jesus Christ, that's a big team. But then again, I'm an idiot. I don't know about these things. I have never worked in the industry officially at all. I don't know, 10 to 20 was the defining line for AAA. Oh, caffeinated. No, I don't know if 10 to 20 million is it. I'm just pulling these numbers out of my ass with the vague memory of something I read long ago. Do not quote me on this one. I talk a lot of shit. Sometimes I'm correct. Quite often, I might only think I'm right, but I, remember things wrong, or I, we're working on old information or something I assumed was correct but wasn't. The pay covered work for 2 years, which I think is the minimum turnaround for AAA. Yeah. But for AAA, also remember, if you're a minimum turnaround of 2 years, that also would include the decades they've been in existence, right? Because they don't do a lot of work from a blank slate. They have a lot of old structures, information, code bases to make use of, and so forth, as far as I know. Hey there, Ray. Not really sticking around today, but I did want to say hi quick while I have the chat. Well, thank you, Ray. And I hope you have a lovely day, whatever you get up to. Always nice to hear from you. All right. But caffeinator, if you then, half that, let's say if you're from 300 workers, you half that to 150, and then suddenly you got, hey, 4 years of budget. Because that's the thing, you can't just say hey, minimum 2 years to make a game, because you don't know. I think a large AAA studio can do that, especially because they have an existing code base system that they can make use of. They have existing ways of working. They've streamlined processes. They have their artists that know what to do, and so on. If you're starting from scratch, you're gonna need I don't know. I would always, for safety's sake, assume double everything just in case for the very first one, because there's gonna be fuck ups because you just don't know what you're doing yet. You'll get there. Not sure, but 200 million is the extended cut version. Ooh, nice. Yeah, and again, not an expert in any of this, just talking out of my ass, thinking out loud. But it does seem like a cool idea, though. And 5 million, funnily enough, not an impossible number, but that is if you have an existing company and something to show. That's the kind of money you can actually get together from investors, but then you have to have something to sell. So you still need time as first. And partner has a big appointment with a specialist today for his acid reflux issues. Finally, congratulations, but the appointment is over an hour away. That's annoying. Well, fine though, just hoping to find some answers. Yeah, well, let's hope I can't even word. Let's hope for the best. I do know it's more common than I knew about the acid reflux issues. Like a lot of people have, like, for example, there's the flap on top of your stomach that might need a surgical replacement or something because of, just, I guess there might be various reasons why there's been like muscle degradation or then just, structural faults. Like I've had my knees bend too much. I've had a surgical implant of a piece of nylon webbing to make sure my intestines stay inside and that kind of stuff. We're all human. Fingers crossed. Exactly. Let's hope they find answers. And because then you'll know what the next steps are. And the good thing is acid reflux things usually are pretty well studied, so it might be a long process to finally get there. It might be tragically expensive, depending on where you live. But there should be answers. And there should be solutions. So let's hope for the best. All the best to ya. Right. So we just deleted all that commented out code because they don't do shit right now. The problem was we get here, and we're trying to add into a dictionary that doesn't have an empty string with a dictionary that does have an empty string. And the question is, where the fuck does an empty string come from? Now the thing is, we're creating, it is in filtered. The filtered, it comes from filtration, get elements. Filtration comes from here. So it's the elemental power new that is somehow creating for lm in filter dict filter lm equals inefficiency. Ooh. Filter. Yeah, there it is. That is what is adding the empty string. I found it. Because if we just add a string, a key value pair that doesn't exist in the dictionary, it'll get added rather than saying like, hey, yo, this one doesn't exist here. Ha! Alright. What do you with Aurelia first, then you, Caffeinator. He's a regular. Doctor has said like 3 or so things it could possibly be, but that are all pretty easy solutions. So hoping it's one of those, lol. Fingers crossed. He's had this issue since he was a kid though, so the doctor was adamant about the appointment so they can get a camera where it needs to go, see the potential damage that could have happened over the years. That is always a good thing to do, especially if it's been a long time thing. It's very unfortunate. It's at the same time, it's wonderful that medicine has advanced and we can do all the things we can do nowadays. But there's a lot of stuff that was missed in many of us when we were kids because, we just didn't have the ads. Alright, post ads and we're back to Aurelia. And everyone. Bye. Yeah, that sucks. Right, so while that happens, we'll have a look-see here. Now the problem is, of course, so if this one's default value is nothing, this thing added in. So I want you to not do this. If filtration target does not equal an empty string, do that. Lol, it looks animated flying while we chat. Well, I had to calm down then. Sorry. Okay, but that should, in theory, fix the problem. Just one quick little if, because I was wondering about, will I probably have to add a default value here. Okay, I'll look into those. If you want to set an initial value, you must specify it explicitly. So Rebecca Marilia. GDs from enums and use export instead. Now we might be changing into this one eventually. Hello, welcome back everyone. So, thanks for pointing the ads out. I keep on missing them somehow. So, yeah, I was just saying that it's amazing that how medicine has advanced. We see it because people are saying like, oh, why are so many people getting diagnosed with autism and ADHD nowadays? And it's just, well, we understand them better nowadays. Like I turned out to be a pretty classical case, easily diagnosed, but they never caught me as a kid and never would have because my behavior wasn't energetic enough. My younger brother was, and he got a diagnosis, and so on. So it's sort of tragic in a way that many people are older now and adults and are not being, and now things are being caught, like the acid reflux issues with your partner, the ADHD and autism stuff now recognized in people, especially because autism used to be only recognized in the extreme cases, and now it is being recognized. Well, actually, it's a larger spectrum actually, so it's interesting because it used to be those who needed interventional help rather than just, because now it's also recognized, okay, no, but there's an entire spectrum, and so sometimes it's mild, it doesn't really affect your life too much, but it's good to know, be aware of it, because it'll help. Like getting my ADHD diagnosis helped me understand certain behavioral patterns I've had, and where I just thought I'm a bad person and I'm just a failure as a human being. Why can't I do these things everyone else does? It seems so logical, seems so easy. Why is this so hard for me? And now I know. Yes, the ADHD. Also, now I'm pretty sure I might be also the autism spectrum with the way I get oddly stuck on things. And I find that fascinating. And the same thing then with other acid reflux, other issues being nowadays identified in people because, medicine advances. So, yay on that. And hopefully they'll catch them more in young people nowadays as well. So they don't have to go through stuff like your partners where you grow into adulthood before someone finally takes it seriously. Like, oh man, this acid reflux is actually being a bit of a problem. Because if they catch it young, it's more likely they might be able to do an intervention on it, rather than have to do, a more dramatic one at a later point in life. And also with the whole mental things like ADHD, autism, and hopefully, because I'm pretty sure in the future we'll identify more kinds of, brain structural behavioral pattern things, because it feels so weird that the only ones we know about is the ADHD and autism, because they overlap but they're not the same. And the whole neurodivergent is a strange concept for me, because I find it's more likely it's just there is no neuronormal, no one is divergent. It's just that we're now slowly starting to map the different kinds of brains and brain behaviors we have, because we're now sort of cycling back to the old discussion of nature versus nurture. How much of our behavior is from the meat, if you will. We're born with this. It's in the genetics. Surprisingly large amounts, turns out. Fascinating. The medical field has come a very long way, but it's crazy to me that a lot of this only is just now happening. Yeah, but that's the thing. People find it like, how are we only discovering this now? Like, no, science as we know it and medical science is so young, so ridiculously young. It has been like it's in the middle of an exponential curve that's like just spiking up because of new technologies, new things. Every new discovery opens up new doors, new questions, and hopefully it will make us question older assumptions as well. It is a never-ending process, and things that make sense and seem logical and simple now will be wrong. That's why I know for a fact I'm wrong about many things, even things I would consider a fact. I know much of that will be either subtly or fundamentally wrong just by the nature of how things work. We can't know everything. And go science. It's crazy in my head. Well, it does all make sense in the realistic sense of it all. Yeah, I mean, imagine this. Imagine the madness. I find the best example of how fast does science and modernity grow. It took less than one lifetime. It took 60 years from the very first flight by the Wright brothers in a plane that kind of flew. People were there, witnessed that one. And 60 years later, they witnessed as man landed on the moon. Now that is a giant effing leap into the technological prowess. Insane, and it happened in just 60 years. And that speed is only increasing. So, kinda nuts. Very cool. And all of that was like, what, a century ago? I mean, less than 100 years? Yeah, it wasn't in the 30s or something when they flew for the first time or some shit. It's nuts. No. It's been over 100 years. But still. And then, Caffeinator, sorry for the late reply here. On your extended cut. So in the extended cut, I buy a private minimum security prison. Jesus Christ. Teach the inmates game development. While they're incarcerated, I'll have multiple story large apartments built. Once they get out, I hire direct from the prison. Dedicated custom trained workforce. Average work from their apartment with one building set aside for meetings. Solar power to cover all of our power use. Everyone gets paid $20 an hour and gets their own 2K square foot apartment and has electricity and food paid for. Ooh. Very cool. Neat idea. A friend of mine had a similar thing and he couldn't work towards it, but it was just more like just making sure inmates get good education. And then if you have a company that can then help them make sure they get employed as they get released. And oh my god, I never put thought into that before. My brain is even more boggled now. Yeah, that's the thing. We are at the precipice. But we will always be at the precipice of the cutting edge, because the cutting edge is now. And yeah. Will always be there, and the past will be seemingly, simplistic. The problem is, of course, human beings don't really change much. So if we look at politics, all these management issues, so humans remain the same. Our tools are just massively improving. But the good thing is, there's also good people, and it's usually the world might seem extra shit right now, but that's also because the news loves bad news. Aggravates people, and usually the ones who make the most noise are, the loud minority, the problem havers and causers. Most people are pretty just chill to live and do their best. Right, we're gonna do a version of this one actually. See, because we string equals do none, we add here to the very first one being, we do 1. So it's actually on the list. And then if you detect it being none, then don't add it to the list. Actually works perfectly, because I was kind of lazy previously. I would say make everything have the inefficiency number and then find your target and add the efficiency number there. So now everything already has the inefficiency. And if it's not none, then add the efficiency. Otherwise, leave it as is. So this should work. The idea was so that we had a power source. Before we had a filter, heck, yeah, it works. But nothing's being filtered the way it should be. Then we add a filter and now the numbers are changing. Amazing. So I'm in America. The prison situation here is abysmal. Going to prison here makes you pretty much unhireable everywhere. Yeah, but if I want to make it humane and provide employment after, I'd be the Yale of prisons. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure many are thinking about that. Yeah, I was assuming you'd be in America with a private prison. Let's see, because private prisons are just a strange thought. Because you'd think, well, surely society as a whole is the one responsible for the incarceration and re-education of people, because that is what the prison is for. It's a re-education camp, more than anything. But that's me. Me and my silly Northern European socialist ways. Okay, let's look at our goals. I got a little distracted here. Cool down. So if we fixed some issues, discovered some issues, fixed them, nice and easy, heckin' wonderful. But how do we calculate that cooldown? But yeah, and also, if you do ever get the money and get a private prison and then try to just make sure you can re-educate everyone, good on you, mate. Because that is what prison should be. It's a punishment, a chance to re-educate, to reintegrate into society. Because usually, you end up in prison because you can't really, because you're now in a mismatch with how society would like you to work. And many people end up doing bad things because out of desperation and a lack of choice. So forcing them into an environment like, you know what, we're going to make sure you can get yourself a craft of, digital whatever source, and then make sure you get employed to make sure your reintegration into society is as easy as possible. Because if it's not as easy as possible, why would they not recommit crimes and so on? Because, they need to eat. And that's what prison is supposed to be for. It's more of a justified slavery here. Sorry, I didn't mean to get into political, but that's kind of touch on politics. That is very true. It does, touch on politics. But I get it. But it is societal problems. What do you do with prisons and so on? What is the agreed upon way to take care of stuff? But so, I wish you all the best. I hope you do get that power. Because you can do it, and it would actually help a lot of people. All right. Okay, here we go. Rune circle base. So here's we're doing stuff. Once we check circle, once we're done with everything, we have circle calculated. Final attacks goes there. We do need to then calculate cooldowns somewhere. So where do we calculate this cooldown? The circle itself? No. It should probably be inside our global player manager. And a variable and it will be, I'll call you circle cooldown, just so it's extra clear what the fuck we're talking about. You're afloat, and you start out at 0.0. No, there we go. Boom. Lol, a prerequisite for that power is a starting capital of 200 million. I don't see that happening anytime soon. Yeah, that is true. But you can always hope. And also, you can just, make your plans. If you do your spreadsheets and then just share them on the internet, share them wide and free. That's the thing. If you can't do it yourself, but you have the map for how to do it, why not just share it with others? Maybe someone can make the capital happen, and they'll be inspired by your work, and then do it themselves. You don't have to do everything on your own. Some ideas are, outside of our capability to actualize. That doesn't mean someone else might have the power, but then not the project or really know what to do. So sharing ideas is important. So the circle cooldown here float.
Good morning.
Good morning there, Axel. Hope you're doing well, bro. There we go, coffee done. I have too many drinks. Too many hot drinks. Coffee is always cold by the time I'm done. So how do we deal with... Right, okay, so circle cool, because one how do we use a timer to pull that number down? But the circle cooldown doesn't have to be the actual timer. It is the target, the maximum. What is the circle's current cooldown value? And in-game, when we play, the timer is handled by some other piece of UI. Perfect, there we go. Solve that issue. And because this is global, we can just fuck with this directly, I guess. Yeah, it'll be fine. Circle base. There we go. Check circle. Wham. Where? I do tell pretty much everyone that whole unlimited money plan. I guess eventually I'll probably tell it to someone with actual money. Yeah. I mean, if you have... Sorry. There we go. If you have an actual planned out thing, and you mentioned you made, spreadsheets and shit. it could be interesting. Like also like because you're obviously hoping to get into entrepreneurship and thinking about studios and so on. You do more of that work and just figure out what do you actually need and actually make it like a business plan essentially for that thing and then give it out. So I would then remind you though that if you do have a prison like that, not everyone wants to or can become a software developer. And also a studio needs not just developers but also artists. If the dream was for hundreds of people, then you'll need managers, you'll need HR people, all those things, everything else. Even especially the boring background stuff. You're gonna need janitors, you're gonna need plumbers, electricians. So the cost is actually gonna go a lot higher. But then you'll have a essentially a much more extensive vocational school in the prison. But electricians and plumbers will always be needed. They are not going to be replaced by any AI or robot at any point in any near future. No matter how much the current management and leadership tries, especially with this newest insane AI craze, where it's a glorified chatbot. It can do so many cool things, yes, but Jesus, they're using it for the wrong stuff. One of these days, the best way to fuck with AI and management, just make your AI manager, because that is effectively what it's good for. Talking to people, making them feel good, and looking at numbers, figuring that shit out. But you're gonna need multiple of them, just like your manager, so they can check on each other, because they're gonna lie. Just because they do. Well, most of them, on the 3D side of the game dev house, I'd pretty much be running the prison like college rather than prison, so they'd have classes to pick from. Yeah. But that's what I meant, because there's gonna be so many other vocations, and not everyone will fit into the mold you want to help. So what do you do with the inmates who would love to learn but have no aptitude for what you have? So then they'll be there and they can't do much of anything. Just janitorial work isn't just mopping like stuff they show in the movies. There's actual infrastructure to maintain. It is an actual career to have with inbuilt specializations and so on. And especially if you want to have your own town, then you're gonna have to have your own water, power, waste management, your own, all that infrastructure. So that would be an interesting thing to consider. But okay, we have the split circle calculated, and we have our waste. Then we'll do calculate cooldown, or we can do player manager dot circle underscore cooldown as a value of calculate cooldown. We'll remove you. Even better, no, we're gonna remove you as well. We do X, and you're not gonna output anything. There we go, and we assign it in there. Bam. Then they learn from whatever other classes are offered. I expect the person to get 100% retention anyway, for the gaming company anyway. Some people might actually have a life outside of prison. Well, this way they'd have offered a stable life outside of prison. Yeah. It's true. Better to do, yeah. Like I said, focus on what you can control rather than trying to control everything. So if you can at least help some people, that would already be very handy. So spell state, roll power. Okay, let's make this visual distinct here. So cooldown is the float, right? Then we'll have our spell set roll power, which is an elemental power structure thing. So how do we How do we calculate the cooldown value? Big old total number? I guess we could. Get it? I can't remember. Let's just check it out. We have the elemental power array here. Empty column, get elements. Gives us a duplicate of that one. Waste average. Which we're not dealing with right now. I don't remember why we wanted the waste average. There we go. That might break shit. Get dicked. Oh, right. Alright. Still works. How do we... We do func get underscore total, no input, output a float. We do var total is a float, starts out at 0.0. Yeah, we don't have any of those. Perfect. And turn total. For lm in underscore elemental power total plus equals underscore elemental power brackets lm. Save. Circle base. Calculate cooldown. Looks perfect. Now we need to look at the crafting menu. We have after circle visual attack stats, and into attack stats we now want to find the one called cooldown. Speeds cool and underscore down. I'd say no thank you. Keep that as one word. I'm not sure why I capitalized it that way, but that's fine. Plus, I have this wild idea that I would have ultra dedicated workers if I'm giving prisoners with no prospects for the future actual hope. That is very true. But also, you know, every person comes with baggage, and especially a person with a criminal background does come with that one as well. So just keep that in mind when designing these things. Label array. Do the attack elements. Wonderful. Speed. Alright, then we go cooldown dot text equals cooldown plus stringify player manager dot circle underscore cooldown. Save. F6. There we go. Calculate cooldown. Spell set raw power that get dicked. Oh, right. Whips. Get total. There we go. And there we go. Player manager dot Circle cooldown has a value of spell state raw power that gets total. It's not raw power, although, by the way, but waste. Save. F8. Save again, F6. Wow. Oh no! I'm sure these are all unrealistic ideas anyway, so I don't think I'll ever have the opportunity to enact them. Cooldown 0 with none of those. We had a power. Now I cooldown 100 because it's all going straight there. 150. Add a filter. Nice. All the values are being changed. Currently, yeah, we only have one projection for both. That's given those two values. But the interaction between the numbers is now happening. So that is a heckin' win. So we jump into here and we do how to do cooldown. Done. 5 minutes actual game. Next challenge. Welcome back from the ad, everyone, and the Caffeinator. And he's saying for sure these are all unrealistic ideas anyway, so I don't think I'll ever have the opportunity to enact them. Yeah. Still interesting to think about. And you're right there, yeah, some people would be very motivated. Very motivated to, work for someone who's giving them an extra big chance. Some won't, but that's life. Big old mug of tea. So, the DIY Wizard shenanigans is working pretty beautifully. We could then have to type into the game and then figure out what are we doing with that cooldown number? How do we turn it into an actual sensible cooldown? How large of a numbers are we going to be wanting to work with? So we'll have to have some sort of cooldown calculator. Using the total of the waste, we save that. That'll be the sort of raw value. Then the calculator calculates from that how we turn that into seconds. That'll be fine. I'm sure I'll have issues at some point with computers going missing or like that, but I'm hoping I could foster decent enough loyalty that peer pressure mitigates the majority of it. Yeah. I mean, what you described also happens in your everyday standard office anyway. And the neat part is, okay, so the crafting menu just works. So we go here, go to level, we look at UI, crafting menu scene, and we plonk it right there, for example. There we go. We double check all these things existing in the same space. Break shit. Pew 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 pew. No. No, numbers change. Attacks happen. Heck yeah. Then we look at our script. We look at the circle base. We do circle calculated, and we get rid of that shit. Boom. Oh, and all this came from someone asking me the hypothetical questions. What would you do if you had the unlimited money after you bought everything that you want? What then? I didn't have a good answer, so it kept me up. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. If you had no obligations, unlimited money, what do you want to do with your days? It's an important question. Because often it's things holding us back that force us to make many choices. Well, hello there, Zelion. Hope you're doing well, my friend. So an important question to ask every now and then is, if I had unlimited time and money, what do you want to do with your everyday life? And it's one thing that, I want to go traveling and do all this. Okay, cool. If you had but then now after all the fun is done, what would you do with your time? What would you like to work with what we'd like to do with money was no impediment, kind of thing. Okay, so we have the circle base. We remove that one. This one exists inside our player manager, so we have access to it. So the player has access to it. So now the next thing is we look at attack manager. Which lives here. No. Global attack manager. And we do a spawn attack with transform 2D and attack details and form the attack base. Okay, so now we want the attack base to have different names for the attack. Now, the attack base here has animation string name firebolt, string enemy. So, okay, we'll add a variable here for the element string we'll do a func of set animation, which has no inputs, no outputs for now. And what we do here is if element equals fire, animation name has the value of firebolt. Oh, there you go. Else if element has the value, and we don't have ice, we did water. Animation name has the value ice bolt. Bobolt. Else animation name is the string, I think it was magic bolt. Alright, I'm gonna get back to work. I'm trying to solo a game jam, and I did nothing yesterday. So now I'm only one day ahead of schedule. But I like the 2 days for breathing room. Yeah, breathing room is nice. And good luck with all your hard work there, Caffeinator. I hope it goes well with the game jam. Go firebolts, and then we double check that these are correct. We jump into our attack. We look at our animated sprites. Magic ball, firebolt, ice bolt, magic ball. You know what? You do magic bolt. That's a good default. There you go. We can just add more animation. We got the thing there. Of now, we have this one. So set animation if element is So fire and water, because we have these. So yeah, it'll work. Now, when do we set this? Well, wouldn't that be in circle base, where we then set the final attack equals spell state attack. Now, I do believe it's the projection. Here we go. Where we have attack sprite map, blah 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 blah. New attack. Oh, this is the old one. I'm assuming I can just delete this. All that. Press. You know what? That's fine. Comment it out anyway. Save. So here we do attack attack base new dot new attack. And wait, and the new attack is this one. Wait. Damage equals new damage, which is this. Right. So then we would have element takes the value of new damage dot get main element followed by set animation. Let's find out. Wrong one. We got a dude with nothing in. You should make magic bolt. It is magic bolt. Add power, still magic bolt. We turn it into earth. Still magic bolt, now fire. Water. So it remains magic bolt. Doesn't change. Let us remote and change this song. Put it into full rando shuffle. There we go. So, what happened? So obviously, we do player manager, runic circle, final attack, animation name magic bolt, value types enemy, type, damage, effects, elements, none. Main element none. Oh. Fascinating. Why is that happening? We'll create a new attack here, right? We get a copy from raw power elements. Main element, string spells state. I see. We're doing it from the spell state raw power. So we create a new one for the attack. And when we create it, we never change those values. We could build an inbuilt, I'm just getting a little awkward. So when the chill hop, this is like exactly not chill. There's too many like interesting by itself, but yeah, really just breaks your thoughts. So attack base new. Okay, so because we have the inbuilt like setters and getters, so whenever you change a value, a certain function will be called. We can use that whenever you change the value of the dictionary, it'll check has the main element changed. And I think that'll be easier than always calling that one. So if we go to this one, and I do believe it be then here. Property with inline code must go to an indented block. So this means you do search help inline. Nope. Cancel. So when anything is set, I want you to call We have get main element, which returns the main element. Oh, then we have to see. Okay, yeah. Fuck that. Okay, we can figure that out at some other point. This is not the way to do this. Instead, we can change it from check from get to check. Yeah, so I want those to happen in a certain order. So look into projection here. We have a check main element, but it's still doing it here. So we do attack base from here. Check. We save. F6 again. Noise. So now the animation changes with the element. Now we were supposed to figure out the cooldown, but it's something. So, who cares about attack cooldown? Well, the player itself does. The player manager has the raw value from which the cooldown is then calculated, or at least we get the how long it will take between attacks. We can use the same one to figure out stuff for a visual indicator. So the player should actually have a little function here, a little something for the ready, where player manager dot player has the value of self. We save that. We check that player manager actually have player. It doesn't. So yeah. Extremely important variable for the player manager to actually have a reference to the player itself. Player node starts out as a null pointer. There you go. Okay. Now we could have a variable to go here with would be boolean like can attack, for example. If can attack, yes, launch attack. If not, then don't. And then we'll have an external timer calculating that. But for now, we're gonna just stick it in the player though. So in the player here gets a add a child resource, good old timer, F2. Good old cooldown timer. I hate Ritopo. If ever I were to advocate for AI, it would be for Ritopo. I don't know what Ritopo is. Caffeinator. I don't think I've heard about that one. So then we'll have in our character body here, we do a on ready for that one, which also means speed can go there. This one goes here. We'll deal with the whole speeds and shit eventually, because we're gonna have like a base speed, and then if you have equipment or effects, they get add a multiplier to speed. So then we'll have a default set base speed, and then a multipliers that'll make it faster or slower. So, bam, cooldown timer exists. Then we'll have a signal for the timeouts when the cooldown timer does something. We'll have Wait, do we even... Do I need that? I think I can just... If input action is just pressed and cooldown timer dot is stopped. Then cooldown timer start. What is the value we want here? Read topology in 3D read topology in 3D models. If you sculpt something, it's probably going to be in 12 million vertices. Ooh, a 12 million model is going to crash most computers. Very true. Read topology is the extremely tedious process of making that 12 million model something more like 12K. Ah, yeah, I get that. Yeah. You sculpt something like, hey, you want this smooth curve? I'll make this out of 5 million bits and pieces. I'm like, please don't. Okay, cooldown time start. And we do here a player manager dot get underscore cooldown function. So now if the cooldown timer also inspector one shot, so it doesn't keep on repeating itself. Auto start, no. If action just presses its attack and cooldown timer is stopped, then cooldown timer is started and will launch the attack. And then I think that means we don't need that one. We'll leave it there for now. We look at our player manager, because this will currently just crash. We add a good old... and a few... Let's do a little old school freaking... we do setters. And getters. Some organization. Slowly getting to that point. The project is growing. Slowly but surely. I have heard of a few emphasis on a few people claim that they enjoy Retopo. I maintain that they are masochists. I imagine it's a bit like knitting. You know, it's just repetitive calming process. It's one of those things you just do. You do the thing, you do. So I do understand why some people might find it therapeutic, calming in a way. But the thing is, if you're in a rush, you want to get this done, then it is infuriating. But if you're just doing it for the sake of doing it, instead of living in the moment, if you will, then I do see how it can be calming, doing these calming repetitive actions and so on. Like it doesn't require too much focus, just enough. Just keep doing the thing. And eventually it'll get done, and then you get to the next one. Meditative, that's the word I was looking for. So here we have get underscore cooldown. Yeah, I haven't done that much 3D modeling. The little I have done has been mostly for product design, mostly focus on jewelry, and a little bit for 3D printing. I would like to do more, and hopefully I will with this project, because that's the idea. At least in the beginning, I want to try my hand at everything at least once, including, art, music, modeling, all the animation. If the project actually does eventually grow, well, then it would be neat if we could hire on some, actual professionals. But as far as possible, I'll try to do everything myself. Proper solo dev. Solo everything. The NAS. Perfect. So to get cooldown, well, we'll do just a return. That can't be a void, has to be a float. A getter that doesn't return anything is kind of pointless. And what it gives you is the circle cooldown. But that's in seconds. So 90 seconds is a bit long with cooldown. 9 seconds is a bit long with cooldown. So what do we do with that number? How do we solve... What's a sensible cooldown? I would say... hit me up if you need help in Blender. I'm mid. Sorry. There we go. I'll wait for the ads to be over. There we go. Divided by 100. Oh, 0.0. Not that really matters, but it's just one integer cast. Just one step. And I'm like, you'll have the SC mindset. I want things to be cast correctly. Welcome back from the ad, everyone. And yes, most of my skills, most of the stuff I've done in 3D is also in Blender. I mean, I used Rhinoceros or Rhino for the very first time in school. But then after that, everything I've done is in Blender. Back and not heavy back caffeinator. And yeah, most likely, well, I mean, you will see me doing it on stream when we get there and you can help me out. And we'll see how it all works out. Well, it looks like it could kind of work. So we'll see what happens. Though, yeah, acceptable for testing. Things will work or explode. Interesting. I wonder. Cooldown should be at 0, but okay, that is. Oh, there we go. We'll do a little something where we're gonna add to our player at Chalny a progress progress bar. Put it beneath our dude here. There you go. Percentage is fine. Steps are a little rough. We do like that. Then we jump into the script. We pull this one in here. We remove it immediately because I realized I forgot to rename this one. Not from a progress bar, but the good old cooldown bar. Cooldown bar. Now we pull this one and put new. There you go, you bastard. Now. We're gonna have to. Oh, yeah, and then I can remove you. First we do cooldown timer node. Right click, disconnect. There we go. Don't need that at all. Hacking thing worked. And then we do cool down bar dots value equals cooldown timer dot time left. Also means that we're gonna have to do a cooldown bar dot maximum value has the value of player manager dot get cooldown. Because cooldown will change, and now, yeah, we should have a visual indicator of our state here. So I'm hacking together the programming for this game jam. It's just a mishmash of several different YouTube tutorials. Well, that is how I began. And how I've done most things. Okay. Not really what I was hoping for. So let's look at the player cooldown bar being a progress bar. Right click here. Now the show percentage. Ah, right. Right. I don't give a shit about that. I realize what I need. Close that one. We look at... There we go. Cooldown bar, my friend. You get a label. Jump in here. Label goes in the middle. Make sure it's big enough. We look at your inspector. Turn that one off. We just for the cooldown bar and cooldown bar label. We save, jump in a script. And little space. And we do cooldown bar label dot text copy paste. STR. Stringify this shit. There you go. Jump to level F6. Wow. So for that fire, you added it as an image. Yeah, there's an animation that is made from pre-made images. Okay, so that's like at 1 second. And now we see it, yeah, it starts properly at 1.3. Whereas this one starts at 0.9. Alright, so cooldown is being calculated acceptably. We'll have to come up with a better system for it eventually. But for now, it's kind of working. And for the fire animations, we are doing them. First, we save, we jump into here, and yeah, now we get all our goals done for today. Heckin' aim. So if we look at the attack scene, so these are the pictures. These are the animations plus play. No? Oh, here we go. Oh. It's at 24 FPS. This is the series of animations we have. We could then, for example, add a new one. We give it an... Oh, wrong one. X. There we go. The animation would be called, say, then... the air bolt. Well, we need a picture here. So we clickety-clackety here. Look at our assets. Pixel fire asset colored. And not the florid one. Yellow, white, smoke, red. Let's say green. And I do believe it was... Yeah, it might have been this one. Let me click this one because that one has all the sprites we want. We want... This will pre-cut the image. So like it marks like where the different frames will be. There's only one vertical. We have, I believe, 8. There we go. 8 of those. Then we determine the size of the squares and so on. So it has auto detected a lot of this information. And then I click the ones I want. Because you can have a larger atlas with a large amount of pictures. So you have a single image that has a lot of animations on it. And you just choose which ones you want and in which order. Then we add those as 8 separate frames. I have changed the orientation to the side. The normal here is at 5 FPS. But we can then, keep on increasing that. And we went for 24 because it's going to be like a flying thing, so I wanted to have a bit more wiggle. And now we've added the air bolt. Oh, this is the, change that. So this will be a default. Add another one, which would then be, call this one the earth bolt. And we'll find you an animation as well. So 7-1. So we have green, we have blue, we have Fire. Yellow. Let's do white. No. Now I'm going to change this one to the air one. I'm going to just rename them. It'll be fine. Open that one again. And now remember what we just did. So I can then just click them in the order I want them. Add the 8 frames. Then we go here and we rename you as air bolts. F2. No. Earth bolts. Sprite sheet. Yep. Made a sprite sheet for one game jam. I have no idea why they wanted a 3D artist for pixel art sprite sheets, but fully modeling, rigging, and animating a 3D model just to smash it down to pixel art sprite sheet is soul crushing. Hashtag never again. Oh, that's funny because that is something that I've been like excited in trying out to do, because animating stuff in sprites and stuff can be a little difficult, but you can make very interesting sprite animations by doing exactly that. If you do 3D models, animate them, and then you'll sort of film them from a certain with the animation from the direction you want, and then you turn that into sprites. You can make some really interesting looking like pixel art that way. I know about this only because of Bulk Theory, to be honest. Alright, now save these changes we made. But now they just exist here, and they're named. Oh, they're the wrong ones. It'll be fine, they look slightly different. So these were not the 7 ones. Frankly, these look more firebolty, so it's fine compared to this one. Yeah, we might change these, but that is, then. For now, works just well enough. So we then look at the script here, where we were looking at attack base. Now we add some more elifs. So elif, elid, elif. So else if element has the value of air, then animation name is airbolt. We'll do elif element has the value earth, then animation name should be earthbolt. We can save that, jump into the level of where we do the testing. So your basic is the magic bolt. We can add a power to it, so now we're affecting the cooldown, but no elemental instruction yet. Then we'll do get air, and now they're white. Earth. Nice and green. See, we forgot to change the FPS, so that was a very slow one. For Earth, we did change it, so that it looks more like a fireball. We have the fire and the water. Hacking shit works. Pew pew pew. So the core of the machine is getting there. Check out attack quickly, and airbolt from 5 FPS back to 24, up to 24. Save those changes. Okay, so now we have 4 of these. They have animations, they have values, there's things we can kind of test. Hey there, puppy, how you doing? Curiosity sated. Oh, I was curious how it would turn out. Well, it turns out it was extremely demoralizing for me specifically. Well, I can imagine if you're like specialized 3D artist and then all the hard work seemingly like smooshed away. So, but also the pixel art sheets are also, well, I'm pretty sure they take a lot less space than a fully rigged 3D animation kind of thing. Now, what's it? Wait, this is a real fire in my computer, or just a video of a real fire? Well, hello there, puppy. Hope you're doing well. And hopefully it's just the animated sprite fire. If you have actual fire in your computer, I would recommend that you try to put it out as quickly as possible. Flaming computers are not very good for the computer. Well, would you look at that? We've already gone past that 2 hours. Started a little earlier today. We have added the 4, so our testing can continue. And now we have, because it's handy because we have our default value, which is, you know what, we're going to change this one because this is too close to the others. So we're going to change the default magic bolt here. We didn't make a new one, actually. We'll name it something. We can change the FPS already to 24. And look at the sprite sheet, because I had one chosen and it is purple. Is this 7.5? No, that's a weird one. But it looks kind of neat. But 7.1, we can do that one. Whoop, have the same values. Select the frames you want. Boom. And hue will be the new default. I'm going to call you boring. Boring magic bolt. This new animation shall be called, with third double click, magic bolt. We save it. We jump a level. We test by throwing an F6. I second the fire extinguishing sentiment. Glad to feel that sentence. See, now it has changed. Because the code is referencing the animations by name, by a string. I'm hoping to then, because we're going to have to then add more... and we'll figure out a way to get the animations to be more, variously sensible in the future. Because we can have all the different animations for all the different elements. And then we could call them by building a string from, get element and get attack type. Smoosh them together into one string, and that will be the name of the animation. So that way, having a standardized naming system is very handy. Then we don't have to have all those elifs always. It will always generate the correct name. But the idea was to then hopefully have more like, we'll only have, for example, the white attack. And then we use the Godot's own internal color modulation system to change what color do we add upon the white. Do we turn it more red, more blue, more white, more green, or more gray, more green, and so on for the different elemental balances. Because currently we're making single elemental attacks, but eventually I would like to be able to make multi-elemental things, and that would mean we're going to have some changes. Plus I would like the inefficiency of the attack to also affect the brightness of the color. So there's a lot of waste, for example, in your magic stack. The color is a bit more dull, maybe a little bit more gray. And then when it's very well, pre-filtered, very pure magic, then it is very brightly that specific color. And then that kind of stuff. So you visually see more hints about what is happening here, the under the hood kind of thing. And it sounds like the graphics programmer wanted to look at the Dead Cells, but without the added skill needed, write a pixel art shader for 3D graphics like in Dead Cells. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah? Because I also know they used a similar thing for... I saw this documentary, mini documentary of making of a game, and I can't remember the name of it. It was this, communist revolution, but they were rats kind of thing. And they had problems animating, and it was all pixel art. And they had difficulty in how to animate certain I think it was capes or banners that they were carrying around. And then one of the artists had been playing around with just turning 3D models into pixel art kind of thing. And then they realized, well, we know exactly how to model this banner and in as a 3D object. I think they had already done that. I used that more as a reference, and then they realized, well, we can just animate that in all the frames it needs to be, and then smoosh that into a pixel art, and saved a ton of time and got the stuff to work correctly. So that's neat. And yeah, you can have all your shaders for your 3D art, but then again, like I said, I would understand that using then pixel sprite sheets and so on would then save in memory. So if you're building games for just mega powerful machines, go nuts. But if you want people with more low-end machines, of which there are millions in the world, then to be able to play your game and enjoy it smoothly, then you might want to consider, how much can we save? on the actual memory needed for this. How small can I make this? How efficient? You know, the extreme example being Animal Well, which is just insanely small. And then you play the game, and it's huge, a huge game. Cool graphics, cool effects. Pretty much everything made procedurally. Okay, how about we have a little bit of a thinky here. Look at our goals. So these were the main things we wanted to do in today's couple of hours game dev, and the I think the next bit might be add projection runes, because we have that bolt. Next we'll have to figure out how to do an AoE and a beam. So it's either that or we continue with the menu. I'm not as good with the mouse. Next time. Menu sprites. There you go. Because we need those anyway. We're mucking about with the menu now. I wanted it to be more of a click and drag system anyway. So why not? Oh, Rain World also has procedurally generated everything, but it's still 4 gigabytes on disk. Yeah, but isn't Rain World the one with the noodle with your like strange water ferret kind of thing? Because that one has the issue of being there's a very complex sort of environmental simulation happening as well, like behavioral. So it's like Animal Well is procedural, everything is tiny, but everything starts out where it should be. There's no like there's not a simulated environment. In that way, Rain World, if it is the game with the freaking water noodle parrot thing, if I remember correctly, because there's all these different animals, all these things in the background, and they're simulated how they would react to each other, and they have certain behavioral habits, but more leaning towards, you know, Dwarf Fortress kind of thing of like there's an entire world simulated in the background, and then there's the game. Hey, Game Jam was a shit show anyway. They asked for one thing, then someone else would change it entirely. Then someone else would change it. The project manager didn't give the team any direction at all, so the programmers kind of took the reins in order for us to finish something. Ha! Magic. Good old Game Jams with, you know, unclear hierarchies and someone who ends up who wants to be the boss but has no idea how to be a manager. Yeah, you gotta, you know, being the boss isn't just, you know, I'm the manager now. I'm the leader here. Yay. You actually then have to do the work of make sure everyone, you know, knows what they're doing, what is the goal, keep everyone on track. You know, it is an actual job. But I'm gonna save that one. Then I'm gonna put this one up here. Brings me to today, attempting Game Jam solo. Yeah. What would that take? 4 gigabytes. Still only code. Usually it's sound and graphics which require storage. Yeah. I don't know, Wasteland. I don't know. I mean, aren't the backgrounds in that one at least like hand-drawn? So I think yeah. If we're at that 3,000 line class for line future behavior, that's maybe 30 kilobytes of code, Lamau. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know why it's so big. Maybe it's, like I said, it is the hard-coded, like, art for the backgrounds and so on. Because as far as I know, in Animal Well, it's everything. Literally, absolutely everything is procedural. Why it's like, I don't know, a few hundred megs. If that. Oh, not walking that up. What am I doing here? Wrong button. Yeah. Ad starting. I'm going to the toilet. I'll be right back. I return. Walkies, the walkies. No, it was accidentally me pushing the wrong button. Sorry about that. Yes, my friendos, my buggles here are sound asleep. I'll be here for a few hours still. Hey, the game worked with the broken stuff, and then you add the actual proper runes, and then we have stuff happening. Numbers are moving around. We have a cooldown system that is cooling down. Heck yeah. And we'll figure out, do we care about... I don't know if I really care about those parts ideas. So I'll just go carried away with that one. So I guess next... Well, let's sit down and think. What are the next steps? Do we add enemies? Well, I guess the setup in the start would be number one. Right now, starting with some gibberish that doesn't really work is a little problematic. In the sense that, shit don't really want to work. Or I guess in order to test the system properly, we need something to kill them. So I may make some enemies spawning, and that kind of stuff. Doesn't need to be much. Or at least an enemy that can be hit by the damage and... Right, yeah. Target and attack interaction. Now that is important. So what do we do with this information once it hits a target? That is something we'll figure out tomorrow. Because right now, it's time to change the thing that we're doing. We'll start by... I guess we can jump into this one. Wow, back in the mug I go. So... save the changes we made. Close that one. Close that one. Grab this one from here. And let's see. Video. And change this category. Whoop, there we go. So from coding on a game, we're gonna move into coding in a game, because we're gonna jump into hacking Stationeers now, aren't we? And what we'll be working on is getting that greenhouse done, which means we gotta get that. Well, we got the gas pipes in, so I'm gonna get a gas mixture, get a void, vent that space, and then turn it into places the plants can actually grow. And then we're gonna start testing. Can we get the freaking Larry to work? So we do green. There we go. No, forgot. Did we copy this one? I like your starting soon image. Why, thank you. And the background is a painting I made. The title Ambition? No, it's a Hungry Gaze, actually. It's a acrylic painting I made like a bit over a year ago. What am I doing? All right, this one. So I'm going to now be turning off the YouTube for a little while. And then we'll be coming back in a new category. So thank you, YouTube, for hanging out. And I'll see you soon.